Hello, everyone. Yes, we are live now. Thank you for joining. And for those of you who have been waiting for us, please, we want to plead that you forgive us, for starting a bit late. We had to wait for Mr. Peter Obi to finish speaking, and the session just ended, and that's why we are starting now. So we want to look at some of the points that he made during this session. We have a video here that we'll be reviewing, and I know you are going to like it because Mr. Peter Obi said so many things. He talked on corruption, especially this clip is mainly about corruption. Why Nigeria is not working. We have this political class who are just, selfish. They only know about themselves. They don't think about the people who voted them into power. They only need the people during elections. Outside elections, they don't bother, they don't care to know, what is happening to the ordinary people. And that's why Nigeria, instead of moving forward, we are moving backward. So Mr. Peter Obi, he spoke on some vital points that we all really need to listen to. So already we have a clip here, and we also have Dr. Talbot here, who is going to be analyzing some of these things that Mr. Peter Obi said. So I'm going to be playing this clip, and then Dr. Etel will come in at certain points to maybe elaborate more on the points that Peter Obi has spoken on. So let me come up with the clip just now. Please, a little bit of patience.
Nigerian families. There was a backlash by Nigerians, and they had a backtrack on their decision. I don't know what they're doing with the money right now. But my question to you is this: they have told Nigerians to sacrifice, and Nigerians are sacrificing. You can see the hardship. You can see Nigerians trekking across the country. You can see evidently, we online, we see the hardship. We see what Nigerians are passing through. I want you to tell Nigerians what you would have done differently if you had the opportunity of having 500 billion naira and 800 million loan from the World Bank. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your comment. I won't say it's all a question, is a comment, and what I would have done differently and everything. If you go back to my tweets of 19th of September 2022, I did mention the problems of the country and the way to approach it. In the country called Nigeria, we have a few problems which has to be religiously and simultaneously followed. What I mean simultaneously, none will be left to the other, everything. The number one problem we have here is corruption. I keep repeating it. Corruption kills three things that makes a country. It kills entrepreneurship. Nobody's enterprising in a corrupt country. Thereby, there's no creativity, no introduction of any new thing, no. Corruption kills professionalism. It kills hard work. Because what it does is that it allows people to have wealth without enterprise. When you have wealth without enterprise, you kill the entire system. So I'm going to take away component of this. In the meantime, I said I'm going to remove it. I'm going to take away component of this in the meantime. So this fuel is now, say, 190. We're not going to have it at 350 or thereabout, or 400, as the case may be. And this again, further, this is what we are going to save is the new thing you're trying to do. You must be GDP. So if you're 400, there are 9 times your size. He was looking at me and said, there are 3 times your size. He said, well, we're not talking about America. I said, no. There are 9 times your size. And that state have a per capita that is about, call it 30 times minimum. I know per capita in America, of California, is about $60,000, $70,000. So I said they have about 30 times your per capita. And I can tell that if governor of California decides to go to Washington and he goes into goes with a private jet, he will not land in Washington before he's removed, he or she is removed from office. He does not have a lodge in Washington. He stays in a hotel. And he cannot stay in a hotel where he will pay $2,000 a night. He will not wake up in the morning before they remove him. That man or woman will not be seen in streets of LA with 10 vehicle convoy. He will go the next day. So that's the things you see. So these are things we need to deal with. And then subsidy. Asset is a criminal setup. And I thank Governor Issa Yaguna, who came out recently to say,
It's like you're mute.
Yes, so guys, Mr. Peter Obi was commenting on corruption. He was asked what he would have done differently from the current administration, considering the money they got from the World Bank. And that is what he's commenting on. He specifically talked about corruption, that is what is really setting Nigerians back. So at this point, I'm going to allow Dr. Tel to come in and share his own thoughts as regards to what Mr. Peter Obi just said.
Yeah, he said quite a lot because, we were listening in on the in Twitter space. He said quite a lot that bordered on corruption. I'm glad people have heard him say that what he said, but there is also, because we can't play the whole video. This is a meeting that lasted for almost 3 hours, But he also made mention of like the sheep they say that they caught. You remember when he kept saying that it is people in government that is stealing our crude? He made mention of the sheep that they say they caught, carrying about 800,000 or 80,000. I can't remember whether he said it was 800,000 or 80,000 barrels of crude oil. And that this ship, they said, had been operating in that kind of corrupt reading, siphoning of our crude oil for years. I think it's about 12 years or 10 years, but it's in years. Let's just say even if it is 4 years. And they said that they burned it, they destroyed it. That if it was him that he will not, that he's going to impound the ship, that he will investigate who are the owners of the ship, which country has he been delivering the crude, who is loading the crude. That is to say, those people who destroyed that ship, he knew that those people who destroyed that ship destroyed material evidence that would have revealed to Nigerians how our oil has been siphoned for years. Remember that he's talking about the corruption side of the fuel subsidy. He was talking about the corruption side of the fuel subsidy too. Now, can we Nigerians really imagine what happened? You caught a ship, one, that you use your mouth to tell Nigerians that ship has been operating for years. How did you know that it has been operating? Who told you that it has been operating? Where did you get the security information that it has been operating? We don't know till today. They have buried it. And then physically, that ship is under your control. Instead of you to drag that ship to our ports and then do investigation, who owns it, who has been loading it, which country does it deliver? Because every ship has registration. Every port it has gone to, when it went to the court and when it returned, it is in the manifest all over the world. Then you destroyed it. My fellow Nigerians, have you seen that Peter Obi has told us, whether it is a past administration or the current administration, they know who are the people that are stealing our crude. And what they did was to destroy the evidence. And he has simply told us that that is one of the ways he would have used to do what? Stop the stealing of our crude. And there's a way he related it with the fuel subsidy that was released. There are different things he said about the fuel subsidy, but let's connect it with the hardship Nigerians are going through today. He also said that if a country wants to have their currency stabilized, there are three things he said. He said that it is your foreign reserve that determine the stability and the strength of your currency, the competitiveness of your currency, that it is your foreign reserve. And that foreign reserve is determined by the amount of your export income. That is, the income you earn by exporting goods overseas. And that your export income is determined by your local production. That was what he said. I heard it from him. Which means if you don't have local production, you cannot have stable currency. And if you don't have stable currency, you shouldn't be thinking of floating your currency, because your currency will not be able to compete. It's like saying tug of war. Every man, survival of the fittest, everybody go to the field. And that was then, again, you can now see it, that the so-called people who are floating our currency, they don't have production that will support it. One, and secondly, they have not even made up their mind to checkmate corruption, because they have found evidence and they destroyed it. And that evidence, if care is not taken, all of them are part and parcel of that siphoning of our crude. And like the person who asked him question here asked, he said, these people are asking us to manage, but they are not managing. They are asking us to manage, and they are appropriating about 70 billion naira to themselves in the National Assembly to do what? To renovate their furnitures or what? They are asking us to manage, whereas their convoy is still guzzling the fuel. And that convoy, you don't buy the fuel with their money, they buy it with government money. No wonder they are in the National Assembly celebrating let the poor breed motion, because they know that they are choking us. They know they are stifling us. And when they were saying let the poor breed has passed, they were laughing. You could see that they are just making a jest of us. They are just saying, oh, you poor, impoverished people, you can go to wherever you want to go. We don't care, because their quality of life, the quality of life of their families and their cronies, nothing has changed. Whilst Nigerians are suffering and going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. I don't know if there's any other video you want to play, because I actually have the themes. I have this thing. When he was talking, I was putting them under fuel subsidy, naira floating, national division. You know, the fuel subsidy. Can I say something about fuel subsidy again, please? When they ask him, when David Hundeyin asked him question about fuel subsidy, David Hundeyin said the outgoing government had already planned that they're going to remove the fuel subsidy. And that what they are saying now is that whether they removed it or that it requires courage to remove it. What would he have done? He laughed and he said that election was held in the 25th. The result was the so-called declaration of who INEC declared was made on the 1st of March. The swearing in was on the 29th of May. Almost 90 days. Almost 90 days. He said that 90 days is good enough for him if he was to be declared the winner of that election, to know that if he is going to remove subsidy, that he has to plan for it. That 90 days was enough for him to rally around economic team, the think tanks that will produce the master plan on how to do it. And in fact, he said that even as he is now, that if he is to assume presidency today, it would take him just 1 month to put things in order. He said something again that was so startling. And let me not even go to the numbers he gives, because I mean, like when he said his tweet on the 19th of September, who tweets and remember the day he tweets on a topic? I don't even know how this guy's brain works. I don't even know how he said, if you follow my tweet on 19th of September. So he knows the topic he tweeted. He knows the day he tweeted it. When they asked him question about, there was something he was saying about population. He said that Nigeria is, that the size of India is 7 times bigger than Nigeria. I was planning to go. I know that India is about 1.4 billion. I know that we're 200. I was planning to, and the guy just got it. And this is questions you're asking him on the spot. It's not as if there's anybody that has a note to say, I'm going to ask him this question. They ask him a question on the spot and pam, 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 pam. He's mathematically going. Okay, let me go back to what I was saying about fuel subsidy. Now, he said 90 days was good enough for anybody who knows what to do to put an economic team together that will get on it. That it is not a matter of being courageous. It's a matter of having a plan. And then I started thinking, and this is coming from my thoughts, APC, as far back as when they were CPC and AD and ACN in 2012, challenged Goodluck Jonathan when he wanted to remove subsidy. During the campaign of APC, former President Buhari said that as long as he's concerned, that fuel subsidy does not exist. Then they eventually came into power, 29th May 2015. They spent 8 years planning to remove subsidy. They had budget that included removal of subsidy. They worked together with INEC to declare themselves president and the winner of the election. The man who eventually became who is currently in Aso Rock now, had been dreaming of becoming a president since only God knows when. He does not have any plan. He does not have any plan as a person. They do not have any plan as a political party. The only plan they have is to say, subsidy is removed. Nigerians, you can kill yourself. They do not have any plan about floating of the naira. They do not have any plan for years. They have been saying it no plan to back it up. The only plan they have is to say, Naira, you're free. Go find your levels. Because if they have plan, they would have marshaled out that plan even during campaign. Because during campaign, they were dodging from coming for people to ask them these questions. Only Peter Obi was campaigning and saying what he will do and how. He was saying what he will do and how he will do it. And all of them in the campaign were busy doing what? Talking and discussing Peter Obi. Now they are in power. They can't even steal Peter Obi's plan and implement because they don't know how they can implement his plan. And what that tells me is this. There is a long way for us to go as Nigerians unless a man like Peter Obi sits in that throne. I'm not saying Peter Obi, but I pray that it's going to become him. A man who comes in his caliber of thinking, in his caliber of reasoning, in his caliber of strategizing is the only person. Look, I have a master's degree in strategy from a university here in the UK. I also have my PhD in the area of management and strategy. And I can tell you that a strategist, if we have any strategy in Nigeria, we would have been seeing it. Because there is no strategy. That is what we are suffering. And you don't become successful by hiring ministers. Because whether you like it or not, it is the idea in your head that the ministers helps you to execute. It's a top-down kind of thing. Strategy is not a bottom-up thing. Strategy is a top-down. First of all, the top must have the idea, and they will be able to pass it along the downliners. So Nigerians, we need to brace up for tougher times until maybe the judiciary comes to our rescue. Let me keep it like this. I don't know whether there's another video you want to play or what you want to say before we come back. You're mute.
So I just want us to complete this video. We are almost at the end of it. Let me play it so that it finishes.
That's good.
That somebody, a friend of his, came to him and said, he's tired of making money from this. My dear people, you know what it means for somebody to say, I don't want to continue this style of making money. That this subsidy is a crime. And we must stop this crime. A criminal setup. And of course, number 4, you have issue of foreign exchange, the value of Naira, which again can be done with productivity. These are economic things, economic issues. In economic issues, you think every one and each of them through before you start any form of policy formulation and implementation. And if you follow these 4 things that I said simultaneously, you can start solving the problem. And it is not that Nigerians are not going to go through hardship. They're going to go through hardship and difficulties, but it won't be as it is today. What we have today is a question of what I said. We are still trapped in the process and thinking of yesterday. And if you're trapped in that process, you will not meet tomorrow. For example, number 1 issue is corruption. If the key people, all of us politicians, decide we'll end it, starting from the number 1 person. If you're not involved, those around you are not involved, you reduce it by 50%. And I'm not talking about chasing people who have stolen in the past. I'm talking that will be dealt with in separate note, but saying that forthwith from today, nobody will continue on that path. We will ensure that all the revenues of this country are accounted, they're transparently held, and would judiciously utilized.
Yes, so guys, we all know that corruption is one of the things that have held Nigeria hostage. Honestly, if we can end corruption, Nigeria is going to excel. So, Dr. Tell, I don't know what you have to say as regards to what Mr. Peter Obi has said. Right from campaign, he has always told Nigerians that if the person who is the leader, I mean the president, is not stealing, his family is not stealing, the people around him are not stealing, you reduce it to 70%. And like you made mention of the sheep that was burnt, they caught a sheep that has been stolen oil for over 12 years. Instead of them to thoroughly investigate who has been behind this, how much have they even made from this, where is the money, can we even recover some of the money they've made from it, so as to attend to some of the pressing needs that Nigeria has today. They didn't even bother to go into all that. They just burnt this ship as if they were trying to destroy a very strong evidence. This is just happening recently. It's not as if it's an old story. I think it was last week or so, or early this week that this happened.
It happened in the lifetime of this new administration. That is all I can remember.
Okay, so you can see that they are hiding something from the Nigerian people. So Mr. Peter Obi is saying that if he was to be in charge, we are hoping that he will soon be in charge. He said he wouldn't have burnt that ship. He would have used that ship to unfold what has been happening in Nigeria. So Dr. Ete, I will allow you to bring in your thought at this point.
We have not even talked about how much money we lost in the so-called burning because they destroyed crude that had been mined. I mean, who reasons like that? Unless they have something to hide. That's number one. Number two, like he rightly said, the people you surround yourself with will determine whether you want to deal with corruption or not. And so let us look at the new ministerial list. Who are the people who made the list? Can't we see that there are people who wrecked their states as governors? There are the people who were in the business. Let me not call them by names. You know them. But we know a tree by its fruits. A lemon looks like an orange. The only way you understand the difference between a lemon and orange is when they produce fruit. Plantain is not banana. The only way you know the difference is when they produce fruits. So the question I want to ask here is this. Those people who were bioplane is landing on and who could not pay civil servants, and they are now becoming ministers or becoming senators, what do you think they're going to do as ministers? And how do you think it is going to reduce corruption? Those people that were drinking a bottle of wine that is costing $4,000 and this thing as governors, and we know what their states were. Those people that could not do anything to arrest one killer or that are kidnapping people in their states and destroying homes and chasing away some ethnic groups, and they are about to become ministers. How will it check corruption? The man said, if you want to tackle corruption, before you go to other classical means of corruption, just check those you surround yourself. That tells us whether you will tackle it or you perpetuate it. And so let us look at the list of the ministers and ask ourselves, how did they make it there? What did they do for the party that is giving them the right to become ministers? And do we think that a leopard can change its what do you call it, spots? No. So that gives us an idea of what we are expecting by the kind of people that this government is about to surround themselves with. That tells us where we are going. What business was these people doing? Peter Obi can tell you, this is the business I am doing, I do this, I do this, I do this. These people are multi-billionaires without having any defined business they are doing. The only business they have done is being in politics as former governors, as former senators, as former House of Rep members, as former special assistant before. The only business they have done in their life is playing politics. And they are multi-billionaires by playing politics. The question we need to ask ourselves, will they become born again and make restitution, or will they keep on consolidating on their wealth? And if they're going to keep on consolidating on their wealth, at whose expense? At the Nigerian expense. And how do we define that method through which they go on to consolidate on their wealth? It's called corruption.
Thank you very much, Dr. Itao, for your thoughts. Honestly, we need somebody like Mr. Peter Obi, somebody who will be very transparent, open to the Nigerian people. And that's what he has always told us, that once he takes over the leadership of Nigeria, he will be very transparent. This one is not this secrecy that we are seeing in Nigeria. Everything Buhari did during his term, wasn't open to the Nigerian people. And this government has equally taken up from there. We don't even know. They said they saved 400 billion from subsidy, I think 2 weeks after this administration started. Up to today, they've not told Nigerians where that money was put into or what it was used for. Or is it that they are still saving it? Rather, they told Nigerians that they were going to borrow from the World Bank. So these are some of the things Mr. Peter Obi is saying that he's going to change once he comes in, because he's not going to tolerate any form of corruption. And he also made mention of the kind of expenses, cost of governance in this APC-led government. My people, it is excess. It is excess. You look at their convoy, you look at the cars, they are not even thinking, when we even talk of cars, they are not even thinking of patronizing the Nigerian people who are into car production. They are not even thinking in that direction. All they want is just to sit in luxurious cars, enjoy themselves, while the ordinary people who actually voted them into those positions are dying. Look at what Nigerians are passing through today.
I disagree with that statement, and I beg to be corrected. They imposed themselves on us. See those people? They imposed them. Look, go and check the history of the Labour Party members of the House of Rep, at least a few of them I know. There is one that is now sponsoring a scholarship program in Enugu State, the one that is representing Enugu East and issues of federal constituency. He has floated a scholarship program so far, and he said this project is from his pocket. He has not gotten any whatever. Now, you see why these people don't care? Because they look us in the face and they feel like, after all, you didn't vote for me. I used my thugs. I used the police. I used INEC to come to where I am today. So why should I remember you? I am not accountable to you. I am probably accountable to the thugs that they have kept in the cooler waiting for the next election, as the case may be. Let me say something about cost of governance. There was something Peter Obi said. There are many things he said. It's just the ones that we picked. When he was talking about, he said that commissioners don't escort him when he's traveling. So why? And I remember that in 2008, precisely, I was traveling from Enugu Airport to Abuja. I was to board on an Arik Air. And as I sat by the window looking at the terminal building, my window side is looking over the terminal building, I saw someone coming. He had his luggage, and I'm like, that's the governor of Anambra State. And I've never seen him live as a person, where I see him on TV and things like that. I say, that's the governor of Anambra State. And that was when he was just 2 years in office. He started his governorship in 2006. And the only respect the aircraft gave him was that he was the last person to board. God will bear me witness, I've not forgotten. His ADC, one tall Hausa guy like that, very dark like me, who was his ADC, was sitting with us as ordinary crew passengers. He was sat with us when other passengers were coming in. You know, the first class will eventually do this thing. And he was the last person that entered the aircraft. He entered and greeted everybody, and then the aircraft closed. We took off and landed in Abuja. When we got to Abuja, I was waiting for my luggage to come, and then my luggage came. You know, that old terminal building, it has a very small, narrow way when you're walking, where they kept flowers, you know, small pathway like this. As I was coming out of the terminal building, I saw Peter Obi then standing this side of the narrow way and talking with someone who is standing the other side, because they can't stand on the steps. They won't let people pass. That's the way they were discussing. And I walked past through them just like every other person. Everybody will come say, excuse me. They say, okay, you will pass. They continue their discussion. That was a governor of a state. That was how my respect for him shot to high heavens. Because I know that even the local government chairman of my local government will not be that simple. I know that even a commissioner in my state will not be that simple. And he was still carrying his briefcase. The ADC was standing away, waiting for God to finish discussing. I couldn't believe it. That is my own life testimony of that man. I've never met him. I've never discussed with him. I've never spoken with him. But that encounter, it humbled me. And since 2008 to 2018, there has been consistency. Do you remember that he said in the Twitter space that even as a governor, he had a diplomatic passport, but he never traveled with that diplomatic passport. He always travels with Nigerian passport. He said as a governor, since he left office, he has never received a penny from his state as pension or gratuity, no land. He still said it. So the question we need to ask ourselves is this. The people who had houses built for them in Abuja, built for them in their home state and in Abuja, just because they were former governors. And these people are returning to become ministers and become senators and become members of House of Rep in Nigeria. What hope do you think we have in Nigeria if such people are still recycling themselves? It's a pity.
Wow, Dr. Tao, thank you so much. Honestly, I want to say that for those of us who are supporting Peter Obi, we should really appreciate this man. We should never regret supporting Peter Obi because, you know, this man is one out of a million. Peter, it's not even about tribe. Some people will say you are supporting him because he's from your tribe. Tribe Guinea. I wish we have people like this from the north, from the south, from every part of Nigeria. It will be our responsibility to support people like this because at the end of the day, they will end up breeding the young generations, you know, the younger people who are going to take over leadership in the future. So people like this should be celebrated. That's just my own. It is really an opportunity for me. It's a privilege to be associated with Peter Obi and to be a part of this obedient movement. So I want to encourage each and every one of us that we shouldn't look back. As we are now at the election tribunal, let's ensure that, you know, we speak up. Let's give Peter Obi that maximum support he needs. Let's come on the social media platforms, put in your own little effort. Honestly, without any doubt, I'm sure that Peter Obi is going to win at the tribunal. So I'm going to bring up the last clip that we want to look at before we finally conclude.
Before you bring up that last clip, if you don't mind, there was something he said just because of what you said now. Somebody asked him, what is the future of Labour Party and the obedient movement? And he said simple, that the future belongs to us youths, that we should come and retire them. Now we should go register in political parties, because as long as we leave political parties to be owned and managed, the Nigerian constitution says you cannot run for office without belonging to political parties. If we allow people who are religious, who are thinking about their religion or ethnicism, or people who are thinking about their pockets, we will not have a say. He encouraged us youth to come in and change our country and come and register in Labour Party. Let us use it as our own tool to do what? To bring the nation to where we want it to be. He said something about brain when he was talking about, somebody asked him about the health sector, primary health care. And he said, what is the budget of the Ministry of Health? Or particularly the subsector, which is the primary health care that has to do with, the nurses and all those small. He said, what is their budget relative to the budget of Asurok Clinic? Whereas the people who live in Asurok still go overseas to go treat themselves. And the budget of Asurok Clinic is even more than the budget of the whole Ministry of Health. And he said, what is the budget of the primary health care in Nigeria relative to the budget of the National Assembly? People who are already comfortable. Let's go on.
So we are going to be continuing. I also want to say, for those of us who are in different countries, just see how you can, get in touch with the Labour Party. Ensure you register and be a part of this party. Since it's where Peter Obi is currently, we should all ensure that we register and become card-carrying members. So let's take a look at this clip.
Albeit temporal administration, the increase in hardship in the lives of Nigerians due to the immediate implemented policies of the current administration. Sir, they have come out to tell Nigerians that these are baby steps and much needed sacrifices that we the people have to pass through. But you see, we have not seen these men take any steps themselves. The political class, they have not cut down their excessive spending and their luxurious lifestyle. We saw the Senate president, drive and he made a mini video, some short video clip for Nigerians showing himself driving executive cars, coming out from his stepping into his office. We saw the Senate also recently passed a $800 million World Bank loan and a 500 billion naira fuel subsidy palliative. They shared that money, 70 billion to 500 of them. They gave that 5 billion to the judiciary, and they said 8,000 naira should go to 12 million Nigerian families. There was a backlash by Nigerians, and they had a backtrack on their decision. I don't know what they're doing with the money right now. But my question to you is this: they have told Nigerians to sacrifice, and Nigerians are sacrificing. You can see the hardship. You can see Nigerians trekking across the country. You can see evidently, we online, we see the hardship. We see what Nigerians are passing through. I want you to tell Nigerians what you would have done differently if you had the opportunity of having 500 billion naira and 800 million loan from the World Bank. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you for your comments. I wouldn't say all the question is the comment and what I would have done differently and everything. If you go back to my tweets of 19th of September 2022, I did mention the problems of the country and the way to approach it. In the country called Nigeria, we have a few problems which has to be religiously and simultaneously followed simultaneously. Corruption kills three things that makes a country. It kills entrepreneurship. Nobody's enterprising in a
So, Doctor, I want you to come in at this point. Peter Obi was saying that corruption kills entrepreneurship, meaning that people cannot go into businesses or, be self-employed because the opportunities that they were supposed to have maximized, are being stopped by our politicians. So I want you to, come in and make some clarity as regards to this.
Let me relate it with another question so that we can grab many things. There was a question someone asked him and said, Nigeria is currently polarized through ethnic and religious lines, North versus South, Igbo versus Yoruba, and Christianity versus, and it was highlighted and weaponized during this election. How will he handle it? And he said, very simple, that when you bring character and competence together, you have gone a long way to solving the problem. Said the bread up north does not cost cheaper than the bread down south. The Muslims don't buy their meat cheaper than the Christians. He says these people weaponize religion, ethnicity, and what have you, and use it to exploit us. Now, connecting it with corruption, when competence is standing, you will not see nepotism. Now, see the effect of nepotism. Nepotism means hiring your people. Just bring your people in and surround them around you, whether they are qualified or not qualified. So, incompetent people can be hired because of nepotism. And when they are hired, the competent ones can't thrive because they'll be stifled. They are stifled, they are discriminated, they are not given opportunity to air their expertise and things like that because they don't belong either to the religion, or they don't belong to the political circle, or they don't belong to the ethnics, whatever you may call it. So you see that they work together. He said, if I become a president and they can see it with my body language, starting with those I surround myself with, if I don't give job to my, like I saw the list that came for governorship in Enugu State, the list of commissioners that Enugu State governor released. I have interest there because Labour Party is still contesting the position. And it was filled by the names of the children of former politicians and current politicians, which is exactly what Peter Obi is warning. The people you surround yourself, come chop kind of share the money politicians. So when they see his body language by the kind of people he surround himself with, and they see that he can pick a competent Hausa man. He also mentioned federal character. He said, I am going to balance the involvement of my government by bringing people from every religious background and every ethnic background, but there must be competent people in that place. So there is a competent Muslim, there's a competent Hausa, there's a competent Fulani, a competent Fufude, a competent Idoma, a competent Igbo, a competent Ijo, a competent Yoruba, a competent, all tribes. There are competent people all across Nigeria. If you bring them, these people who are competent will do what? Will trigger the potentials of Nigerians, irrespective of where they are. Number one, everybody is feeling belonging. Number two, the people leading them are competent people. Number three, the body language of the president is showing, I can't tolerate this. And he gave an example when he said that he told his commissioners, if you people agree with everything I say 3 times, I'll fire you people because you are OS members. And that's to tell you, in Nigeria today, everybody just come, yes, sir, Grand Kadede said, yes, sir, Kabiyesi, yes, sir, Igwe, they just want to, everything you say is yes, whether it is good, yes, whether it is bad, yes. But he said that he would tell his commissioner, he told his commissioners as a governor, if you agree with me 3 times without
So, guys, it appears we are having a glitch at Dr. Etel's end. Yes, so he was trying to talk about Peter Obi's stance when it comes to hiring people who are competent. It's not about surrounding himself with his people. We all know that during his administration, people came out to like criticize him that he did not even hire people from his own community. His brother said he could not even give him one contract. Peter Obi went to the General Hospital in Onitsha and met a doctor who was working while others were on strike. And he decided to like promote him. I think he became the health commissioner or something like that. So Peter Obi is all about competence. He doesn't take leadership position to become a family business. But we can see that that is what is happening in Nigeria. Even our current president, we all know, the footprint he left in Lagos. His son is heading here, his daughter is heading there, and all that. No, this is not what we want in Nigeria. We want people that are concerned, to see that Nigeria moves forward. If you are given that privilege, bring in people who have what it takes to handle those positions. So considering the ministerial list that they just released, we saw former governors, people whose hands are not even clean, being brought back to serve Nigeria, people who couldn't serve their own states. They are being asked to come and serve a country. These are some of the things that Peter Obi wants to ensure they are brought to a stop. And that's why he always talk about structures of criminality, that these are the things he wants to destroy so that Nigeria will move forward. So at this point, Gloria, I don't know if you have anything to share with us as we are about to round up. We don't want to keep this very long so that people can watch it to the end. And please, if you've not subscribed, please do well to subscribe and give this video a like so that YouTube can push it out for others to see. So Gloria, what do you have to tell our audience tonight?
Okay, thank you very much. I was actually live too on the Twitter space, and then he mentioned something when he was asked about the ministerial list, and he said, just like Dr. Ete pointed, he said that one thing he cannot do, which is what we are seeing now, is the fact that they're just trying to bring in people, their own people, into power. But he said that when he was actually trying to look for commissioners as governor of Anambra State, he didn't look for people that maybe helped him during the election and all of that. No. He pointed out that that period, he even got commissioners that he never knew, even during his campaign period. That's people that were not close to him, people that just by looking at their CV, that's what he said, looking at their CV, he knew that this person is competent. And then he said something again, that in his administration, you are not going to work if he has not gotten a clear understanding of your certification. That's, he's sure that anything you are claiming you have, that's what you have. Because he said before your name will go out, he's going to do thorough investigation with his team to be sure that, and he pointed out that it's not as though he wants you to be a saint. It's not as though he wants you to be a saint, but anything you claim you have, let it be that that's what you have. You have this certificate, it is sure that you have it. So I believe that this man truly is a blessing to Nigeria, and is somebody that many other leaders should actually study and learn from. Actually, just joining the live space today, I actually learned a lot from what he was saying. So he's actually a material, someone that Nigerians and our leaders too should learn from. Sincerely.
Dr. Tell, please, your closing thoughts so that we round up. I know your internet is really disrupting your thought.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. Funny, my internet has been very bad, but I think we can go for now. But all I pray is, oh Lord, could God move the hand of the judiciary to give us justice so that this country can start to become a nation. When they asked him a question about our passports being insulted around the world, he said, If you make yourself competitive, people will respect your passport. Simple.
Yeah.
You say all the G7, G20, G this is the economy that determines the G that you belong to. Period. If you work yourself to become G5, the economy will push you to that G. He knows all these things because he has had interactions with all these people. He went to school, like he used to say. We know his classmates. We know the alumni. We know the certificate he earned. He knows them. He quoted the registration number of the first car he bought when he was going to UNN. You can trace the track record of someone who said, I want to be your president. There are many others. We only get to hear about them when they impose them on us as governors. And then just before they finish becoming governor, they have blown, they have become multi-billionaires, and they start lording it over us. These people are afraid. They don't want to lose the only source of income they have, which is exploitative politics. And that's why they're throwing everything against us and against this man to make sure his head did not wriggle out to help us. But I know that God will intervene and give us the president we voted for, not those who impose themselves on us. So that the president we voted for, even if he did not perform well, we can say, why did you disappoint us? We voted for you. But these people, if they don't perform well, they don't owe us anything because we did not vote for them in the first place. Their pocket voted for them, and they bulldozed themselves into power. So they don't owe us anything. I think we can leave it here for now. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you very much. Our viewers, thank you all for joining us. I want to tell you that it's a privilege to be associated with Peter Obi. He's really somebody we can all be glad, to be following at this time. And no doubt he's going to become our president. We all know that. We can see that even the African nations, they've come out to say that our current president can't even put his own house together. So how can he even stop what is happening in Niger? We all know about the coup. So we came up with a video yesterday where a woman was being interviewed and she was like, the ECOWAS chair is the president of Nigeria. So even when he issued an order, the military could not even listen to him because they were like, Mr. Man, you have an issue to settle in your own country. Go and settle it first and stabilize your own country before you come to issue any, command that you want us to obey. So, guys, that is where we are today, and that is why we must keep calling on the judiciary to do the needful. They should look at all the evidence before them, what all the witnesses have come out to say, and give us justice. That's just what we want at this time. I want to say a very big thank you to all of you who joined us. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like so that YouTube can showcase it for others to see. Thank you very much for your time and God bless you. Dr. Tel, thank you for all your beautiful contributions as always. Gloria, I want to appreciate you for your time. God bless you and good night.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great Sunday tomorrow. Bye.